So using some Python standard library packages. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can think about some modules that come with Python that are useful, especially when we want to focus on collections, string, and some other packages. Let's go in and take a look. So we're back in our vanilla Python, IPython, and we know from a few videos before that we have the package OS, which allows us to create and use some functions that interface with the operating system. There are some other useful packages within Python that are often used, and I want to show you what they contain today. So the first thing is the collections module. So what we do is we say import collections, and inside collections we can use the submodule counter. So we can do, and we can very conveniently count things. Let's say Apple. So what we've done here is we've created a counter object within the collections module, which allows you to very easily tally things. And what happens here is we use it like a dictionary, right? So we just say increase the count of Apple by 1, increase the count of apply by 1, increase the count of Apple by 1 again. What we can do is then look at CNT, and it will tell us that the counter has counted 2 for Apple and 1 for apply. Now you might argue that you can still do this with a dictionary, so actually the counter object gives you more flexibility than this. You can first feed it a whole string, and it will tell you the character counts. You can also say count.mostCommon, and you specify the 3 most common items in the string Python programming, and it will be P, O, and N. You can do sum of count.items. You can do sum of count.values to get the total number of characters within your list. You can also do list counter to see all the unique characters within the string you have fed in. So lots of interesting things you can do with counter under the collections module. The other interesting thing is a default dictionary. We can access any key and it would not ever throw a key error. So if we do some key, it would just create a default value for this key depending on how we've initialized it. So we've initialized the default dictionary with an int, so then our default dictionary of some key would return 0, which is the default integer. If we create a normal dictionary and we try to access a key that doesn't exist, it will give us a key error, and we actually need to define this before we can access its value. So why would you use a default dictionary? A default dictionary is useful when you want to tally things or create a key whenever the key doesn't exist, but you don't want to really check for whether that key exists, because that's quite an expensive operation and it messes up your code. So when you're dealing with input that you're uncertain about what it is, you can use the default dictionary as a very convenient way to quickly just put the keys inside the dictionary, whether it has a value or not, and modify the value, right? So imagine if you're re-implementing counter, you don't need to check whether you have seen this thing before. All you need to do is create a default dictionary and add 1 to the count of whatever item you're seeing inside the string or the collection of words or whatever you're trying to count, and default dictionary would automatically initialize the dictionary value for an unseen key based on how you have initialized the default dictionary. So that's very convenient. And that's all there is to it. So we are looking at some of the modules that come with Python. There are a lot of them. You should read the documentation to find out more. And specifically inside Python in the standard library, the collections module has a lot of interesting high performance data types that you can use in addition to the data types we know and love already. For example, list or dict or string or integer. And using that can really speed up the way you use Python without re-implementing some of the functionalities that you shouldn't re-implement.